Hi everyone, I'm back after a much needed break. I took the last few months to extend my skills to other companies and to extend the brand of Qness with me. This led me to listening parties, interviews, and so much more. Life has been very exciting recently. I never wanted to give up the ever-long conversation that I enjoy having with you. Thank you for staying around and making me look forward to creating these videos. Now let's get back into it. Earl Sweatshirt is one of those artists that I followed very early into his career. I discovered him from Bastard, shortly after I dove into the Earl mixtape. He's been able to carry his undeniably smooth flow and sly lyricism throughout his career. Every project that he brings to the table keeps his long-term fans on their toes. There really are a few artists that can express like he does. What I like most about Earl is the way that he intricately expresses his trauma through lyricism. Even without reading his backstory, we all know that he had a tough relationship with both his parents. His grandmother has always been his rock, and he's found himself in the abyss of soul searching throughout the journey of his life. Throughout his journey of soul searching, he produced an EP called Solace. The experiential hip-hop EP was uploaded to his unofficial YouTube channel, Qness, on April 28th of 2015. Many of us didn't expect it, nor knew what to make of it, especially the first listen around. Before I wrote this, I decided to dive back into the dark 10-minute EP. I tried to capture the embodiment of this EP. It feels like you were dropped into the middle of the sea, and it feels like you're sinking into the depths for 10 minutes. It embodies contemplation of his loved ones, reflecting on his internal self as he sinks to rock bottom. Further described from Earl as music from when I hit the rock bottom and found something. The title Solace translates to finding comfort. If something eases your disappointment or grief, consider it a solace. Earl Sweatshirt's solace is found through the creation of music, or this project. But why is he here? In an NPR interview, he said that we set up a studio at my house, and I did a little project real fast. It's called Solace. It's more for my mom. We're also given lyrics throughout the track speaking about his late grandmother, who was a massive part of Earl's life while growing up. The track itself is split into 5 divergent segments. Each of them displays their own feeling, gluing together the 10-minute EP perfectly. The project begins with a ghastly echo for the first minute, known as Part 1. It chants "I've been here before." This isn't the first time he's hit rock bottom, soul searching. He recognizes his feeling very well. None of this is new. This goes past the present sense. We hear this theme quite predominantly throughout his music. Even this style of sample has been seen quite often throughout, like in the album I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. After the introduction, he delivers his first verse in a very recognizable tone. It's not given in a depressive manner, but rather expressing that he's ready to take this feeling on. This feeling is so familiar, he's been here before. You can quickly recognize when he's in this episode of feeling. He's late for everything. His face debilitates due to the lack of eating, and he's slowly wasting away. Earl mentions River Phoenix, notably known for his drug use and ultimate death at the mere age of 23. He sees himself going down the same path due to numbing his pain the same way that Phoenix did. Earl likely sees himself in the actor due to fame at a young age. Phoenix landed his breakthrough role in Stand By Me at the age of 16. Earl was about the same age when both Bastard came out and his debut mixtape, Earl. He goes on by saying that he feels imprisoned by his depression, and he hints at paranoia by stating, "I've been watching every bitch in my space." He finishes the verse by saying, "Try to make sense of all this shit in my brain, one foot stuck in the tar pit of my ways." With a recurring theme of both depression and anxiety being rumination, he's obsessing over thoughts without leading to completion. His brain is quite literally tangled in this space. His only way out is to dissect and decipher each individual thought. This specific lyric trickles down into a soundscape of angelic chords. It sounds like a sigh of relief or a state of bliss, which can be analyzed as giving in or taking these said drugs. The sample is of Hugh Muskella's Riot, where Earl would use that same sample for the track Riot off of some rap songs. It was used as the outro. In the track, the sample feels like one is coming to the light, or out of an abyss. I say this acts like a transition because after a few repetitions of these chords, we're brought into a harrowing loop of piano keys, with Earl mumbling, "If it's like this the whole time, it'll be alright." The mumbling can be deciphered as self-reassurance. Like stated in the first loop, he's been here before, he can get through it again. This introduction leads to a more structured but mumbled verse, stating that it's just him and his nibbling conscience. He's only fixing himself to eventually end up here once again. Also meaning that there is no point. driving himself into this depression or drug habit, because he'll still be here at the end of the day. He finishes by saying it's raining a bit, but he hopes it's a monsoon. A monsoon is a seasonal change in direction of the strongest winds or rain in a region. He's waiting to be engulfed in depression and imminently give up. His mom is mentioned once again, and he reassures himself to stay in it, to hold on. The loopy piano is a sample from Ahmed Jamal's 1966 track April in Paris. The song name itself is interesting because the month of April in Paris is often filled with sudden showers, bright sunshine back to cold temperatures, falling in parallel with the lyric, "It's raining a bit, but I hope it's a monsoon." The rest of part 2 is filled with the same hollow loop, leading to a disoriented sound, along with a screech, eventually leading to a lighter part 3. Part 3's instrumental sounds like the outro of the track Huey. It has a gloomy and distant lo-fi feel to it. It feels like you're in a dreamlike state, going up in an elevator that was stuck on the last floor, or the deepest point of his depression. By no means did this elevator take him out of this state, but he's in a much clearer headspace than before, a few floors up. Distant mumbling and tangled thoughts turn into real expressions. Earl is now able to deliver fully formed verses on why and how he feels this way. This is where he begins with the explicit statements. "I got my grandmama's hands. I start to cry when I see them, cause they remind me of seeing her. These are the times that I needed her the most, because I feel defeated." His grandmother understood how to decipher these feelings. It's at times like these where he needs her the most. He also recognizes his support system. His best friend and former Odd Future member, Nakel Smith, is on the couch right next beside him. He'll always be there for him, especially in times like these. Earl further admits to the truth of his drug abuse and the lack of his appetite, recognizing both and realizing how it debilitates him. Personally recognizing a fault is the first step in healing. Finishing the final verse by saying, "If your soul intact, let me know," creating a parallel to those listening, who may be feeling the same as him. Elaborating that if there's anybody out there that has been there and has gotten out, let him know that they're there for him. The final part of the track consists of mellow synths and light bass, slowly fading to the end of the 10-minute EP. Whether you'd like to see it as one track or an EP, Earl compacts a lifetime of emotion in these 10 short minutes. The feeling that he portrays even outside the lyrics and solely through his instrumentals is breathtaking. Solace brings the emotional roller coaster of being at rock bottom. Earl uses the medium of creating music to get out of this abyss. Although this EP isn't on streaming services nor his official channel, I think that it's an essential piece to his career. Earl was able to bring his emotions to the table, once again, by translating his mental state into sound. He showed thousands of others that they are not alone. Although your search for solace may seem endless, especially in times like these, I can assure you that it will be found. And like Earl has taught us through this EP, everything will be alright. Now I want to hear from you guys. When did you first discover the EP Solace? Also, where would you rank this project within his discography? Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys.